Hi guys, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. For tonight's video we're going to be covering what ifs.
Hi guys, so for the first question of our what if questions is, what if one of us no longer loves the other?
I think you have to look deep inside yourself and find out why, and find out if you can fix the problem, or if it's something really major that you can't fix. There's no resolution to, because relationships are hard work. You don't want to give up on things, just like that. So you have to stop and think about it for months and months and months, and realize, okay, is it good to leave, or is it good to carry on? I think that's. Is that how you answer a what if question? I don't really know.
Well,
That's more advice than what if. I don't know.
What if one of us no longer love the other's question? It's not an advice toward them. What if to us?
Then
I don't really know how to answer that question.
It's hard. Work on a relationship if you can, but if it's something huge, then maybe you can't work on it. I don't know. It's different on the circumstances, because love is not like an on or off switch. There's multiple shades of love. You can say you love a friend, or you can say you love your wife, and there's multiple shades of that. I think that it's not. That's a hard question. What if, because I'm sure at some degree you still love the person. You can't say, oh, I don't love you anymore overnight.
Yeah, there's a series of situations, because it's the same thing as falling in love. It's like it doesn't. Not, I guess, because love happens like that, right? But to fall out of love is more of scenarios. There's certain things that have happened in the relationship to actually for that to fade away. It's not the same as falling in love, that you just see somebody, there's first love at first sight, and you start dating. It's like you feel that instantly and you can't explain it. But falling out of love is more of what happened. Why did it get to that point?
I think it's like a disaster. As you know, every disaster is a chain of events. It starts off with something small and gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and so eventually, kaboom! It's gone way too far, and the events get bigger as you go down that chain. I think falling out of love is the same way. When you're first married, there's maybe a minor irritation of it leaves the toilet seats up, or it makes a mess in the kitchen or whatever, and then that minor irritation becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and before long this whole thing is compounded into something which you didn't really anticipate at the start. There's minor things in the relationship at the start which are kind of irritating. Now, years later become big issues, I think, and that's kind of how people fall out of love over time, I believe.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, because when I was doing my master's for the mental health and wellness family dynamics, is that it actually taught us that when a couple actually have fights and they get into like that deep fight and they confront each other, that marriage actually lasts longer. Because why? Because they lay it out. They don't keep everything to themselves, where suddenly there's that distance and there's that silence in the relationship that the other partner doesn't know what the other partner is feeling, what the other partner is thinking, or how the whole relationship is going. But my instructor actually says that understand that when a couple goes for counseling, the first thing that you want to know is, do they communicate? Because couples that fight more is fixable. You can save that marriage. But if the couple sees a counsel and then they go for counseling, marriage therapy, but they're not communicating, and no matter how long the therapy has been going, if there's that big silence, because when somebody says that taking a break, what are you doing? When you're taking a break and the person says, I need space, eventually both of you are gonna get so used with that space that you fall out of love because there is no communication, there is no connection. You get used with the silence. Does that make sense?
I've heard that working both ways. I've heard that give space will make you miss the other person. Like, oh, I really want that person back in my life. Especially if you're complete no contact and you don't communicate with the person at all, and then you pull the person back into your life.
It might be with the other person.
Or it can be the other way around, where you think, thank God that person's not in my life anymore, and you know, and you move on to other things, you know, fairly quickly, and that's to do with the personalities involved, I think. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. It's like it depends, because if you take a break and you put a space with a relationship, and that's like you're giving each other a chance to rethink, but then if there was no communication to begin with, and all of a sudden you just kind of both like explode and you need a break, and then you go for this long silence of he gets to do what he wanted to do, she gets to do what she wants to do, and then all of a sudden it's just like you guys get so used not having each other, but you both also realize that's how it has been all a while. It's like you guys are really not together. It's been so separate that, you know, there's really that big distance. So that's why the instructor that I had is, when a couple seek marriage therapy, a counsel to assist them, is what you want them to do is to work on the relationship, work on themselves together, not separately. Because there are couples that will say, well, do it this way on your own, and then you do it this way on your own. So they're working on it separately. Eventually they'll realize, well, what's the point of having each other? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's right about the argument stopping. When I've read as well, as when the arguments stop, it is the death sentence for the relationship. Because you, as a guy, you're thinking, oh, it's great, she's stopped arguing, she's stopped nagging at me. Oh, this is wonderful. Really, she's shutting down at that point, and the relationship is over. It's going to take a lot of work to get that sucker back on the rails at that point. If the arguments stop, and if they stop for an extended period of time, and she seems happy, she's not really happy. Things are going south rapidly, and that's just the way it is.
Move on to the second question.
Yeah.
What if we have different priorities in life?
Well, that's everybody has. Unless you're married to an identical twin, everybody has different priorities.
No,
in life, I think.
even the twins are different. Even twins have different personalities, different wants. But before you get into a marriage, because this is about us, you know, it's not supposed to be an advice, but because we're already married, it's like we already talked about the priorities.
Yeah, the main priority is God's at the top, basically. If your spouse does something which is against your religion, whatever religion that is, that's a big no-no. If she goes, hey, go ahead and rob a bank or something, then obviously you know that's against your core belief system, and that's wrong. Then just look God as your spouse, and basically you the next value is your spouse, and you do what you use to please your spouse. Underneath that is job, family, and everything else. So don't put your job and your family as a value above your spouse. I think you have to start the relationship that way. Some people, I guess, do have relationships where they put the job at the top and they're making lots of money and everything, but then are they really happy? I don't know, because jobs come and go over time, you know. So you have to, I guess, as long as you communicate those priorities with your spouse, but putting like family members above your spouse and putting jobs above your spouse is probably a really bad thing to do. I imagine it's going to be hurtful for the relationship, because you don't want your mother-in-law controlling your relationship or something. It seems like really bad way to go. And, you know, I know have family members I won't mention are like that. So
Actually, it's a good topic for the third what if, because what if one of our families doesn't approve of our relationship? Now, that's why I said it's a good thing for this third what if question, is because my family actually did not approve of the marriage. But who is gonna be in the marriage? Is it my family and him? Is it your family and me?
yeah.
No, it's the two of us. So yes, your families, friends, acquaintances, relatives, exes, whatever, they will have opinions about your relationship. But who is going to live with a person? Are they? Or are you both going to live in the relationship? Are you both going to adjust with the relationship? Who are you actually giving your vows to? Is it his family? Is it my family? No, that's why when we argue, I always say, forget the other people. I don't care what the rest of the world is saying. We're arguing, we're in this situation, it's because of us. I always say this in the podcast, it's like, your marriage is composed of two people only, and that's you and your partner, no one else. Regardless of what's happening, regardless of what other people are saying, it's the two of you. No one else is involved, because no one else should make a decision whether you're gonna get married or not. It's you and him, you and her, whatever.
Yeah. I even told my parents a long time after I got married. You know, I got married to Rosalie, and then after that, long time after that, I told my parents I was married, and that was one way to avoid judgment. So a funny story was my boss at the time, who was quite a bit older. I think he was about 10 years older than me. He got in trouble with his parents because he ran off to Vegas and got married, but his parents were still kind of controlling his life, and he was 10 years older than me, so he was like 55 at the time or something, and he got talking to from his dad for running off and to Las Vegas and getting married. Well, come on, guys, you can marry who you want, and don't let family get in the middle of it, because a lot of families have a very have a lot of racial biases, and if you marry someone of a different race, your dad's gonna get in your face and stuff like that. Just love who you love, and don't let your family interfere with whatever's going on. You know, it's up to you. It's not up to nobody. You're going to spend your life with that person. Your family isn't. Your family may visit once a week if you're lucky, and that's it. So.
It depends. Because your family don't visit.
Yeah, your family,
but that's
if you're lucky, your family will visit.
But I'll make a correction on that or whatever. But it's because his family are across the world. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's not that they are just down the road or whatever, but yeah. Next question is, what if one of us stops supporting the other? What? Did I ever stop supporting you? Did I ever stop?
No, I'm just not thinking about that. No, then it wouldn't be a marriage anymore, because think of the fundamental reason that people get married. They get married. Okay, love is what brings you into a relationship. It's what goes through in dating. But support is like opening cans for your partner. It's just like that. It's like it's a support is to I think, because you realize at some point in your life that you can't do this on your own. You're gonna have good days. You're gonna have bad days. Sometimes you're gonna need someone to talk to. Sometimes you're gonna need someone to help. Bring in the groceries or whatever. So the whole point of marriage is for someone there to support you your whole entire life. Otherwise, if you don't want that, just be single for your whole entire life. That's fine. Marriage is not about kids. It's not about any other thing. It is about someone you live with, who you have a mutual supportive relationship with for the rest of your life. And if you stop supporting each other, you're worse than roommates at that point. It's like a bad roommate that doesn't give two damns about you, basically, because marriage is there for mutual support, because we all have good days and bad days, I think.
But also remember that once you're married, it's more like the other person's failure is your own failure.
Yeah.
Like, I won't mention so much, but when he was asked, there's a certain job that he needs relocation and all of that, and he was always asking, it's like, are you okay with the relocation? Are you okay to leave this place? Are you okay with the job? He's always asking that. And my answer, remember, I always say, it's like, I don't care. I don't care where we go. As long as we are together, I'm gonna follow you where you're gonna be. I mean, it's not that I'm not going to stick in a place just because of family. Because come to think of it, who am I going? I'm gonna be here and he's gonna be across the world. Don't make sense. Or across the state, whatever. Yeah. But I don't know. Because did I ever stop you?
No.
Did I don't think there was ever a point where I says, well, I'll take that back. There's a certain point where I get upset with his job because his line of, I don't know, it's just that it takes a lot of time for him. It's like it eats up the whole thing. That's, when he's working, it's just like it's work, and I feel like there was no more time for us. There was no more, so it did come to a point where I have to but see, I did not just leave him or anything or just stop supporting him. It's like I confronted you about it, excuse me, and I talked to him about it. And I asked them, it's like, how can we, or what can we do? It's like I was giving him suggestions how to work things out between work, family, and all of that. It's like I was upset. We were having confrontation, but the good thing about it is he understands. He knows. He's hearing what I'm saying. It's not like I just kept to myself and just walked out.
And I think that it's support at different levels. Like, you don't have to support bad decisions. If your spouse says, I'm going to take $10,000 to the casino tonight and blow it all, then there's bad decisions, and your partner should act as a safety mechanism and take you to one side and say, hey, is that a good idea? Or even to the point at which I'm not letting you do this. Like, if you think your spouse is going to drive drunk or something, then you're going to take the keys away and say, I'm not going to let you do this kind of thing, because there's two brains working on this now. If one brain is fully functional, the other brain is going to think about logic and say, okay, I'm going to take your car keys away because I don't want the legal fees and the jail time and everything else that's going to come with the a DUI. So your spouse is also a safety system. When they don't support a decision you're making, think about why they're not supporting the decision. Maybe they don't want to do a particular thing. Maybe they think that a particular job is a bad idea, you know. And if they say stop, you stop and think about it, you know.
Yeah. So the next question of what if is, what if we have different ways of showing love and affection for each other? There is going to, because there's two of you. Your way and my way of showing affection is different from his way of showing
There is
affection.
a book. I think it's you have to look it up and Google. I think it's like the 5 languages of love or something.
Yeah, I was
maybe,
the one who told you about it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's 5 or 6 or 7 or
It's
20.
5.
It's 5. So everybody has a different way of expressing love and emotion. And there's actually, I think there's more than 5 ways. There's lots of ways you express love and emotion. And there's lots of different kinds of love. You know, you might love a pet, you might love a friend, you might love a work colleague. You can love all these kinds of people for all different reasons. It doesn't mean you're going to run off and marry them and have lots of babies with them. It just means that there's lots of different forms of love, and there's lots of different ways to communicate love as well. And we don't always communicate love the same way, especially if there's some people that are watching this, they're in a long distance relationship. I know it's very hard in that way to communicate love, because you can't always send the person flowers and gifts all the time. You can't go out on dates and be with the person. You can probably do a virtual thing, but it's not there on Skype, whatever. It's not the same, you know. So yeah, it's the way you express love is going to be different based on your relationship as well, you know. Especially if you work long hours and one person's working a day shift, one person's working a night shift, and you see each other for 5 minutes a day. How you can express love in that situation? Maybe you leave each other notes and stuff, you know. It's going to change depending on your relationship and depending on how the relationship is progressing. So there's lots of ways to express love.
I lost it. The last question. Last question.
Uh-oh.
The other question says, what if one of us wants to get hitched earlier than the other? I don't know what that means. Sooner than the other.
So getting married sooner than this. Getting married before the other person is ready for it.
I think you have to both, like we were dating for 3 months before, and then we got married right away.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know how to answer that really, because you cannot. Once it's time, it's time. That's just,
yeah.
there's like, there are people that like long engagement, but I don't know.
From a man's perspective, the woman actually, once the relationship has started, you've gone past the first few dates, the woman actually kind of runs the relationship from that point. So don't keep asking, when we're going to get married, when we're going to get engaged, when's this going to happen, when is that going to happen, you know. Just wait for things to progress naturally, and when the woman says, okay, or starts to drop hints that she's ready to get married, then it's the time to get married. Because you know, usually I don't want to be too unkind and get too many bad comments, but a lot of times in a relationship, when it comes to marriage, the woman tends to get more of it than the guy gets, because the woman gets the protection of the guy and, you know, other things like that. So I think it's more of the woman's decision. She may not say, will you marry me, but it's her decision to start putting the hints forward that, hey, maybe we should get married. And the other side is true, you know, if you're dating for a long time and there's no signs of marriage, you got to think about what you want as a guy as well. Do you want to get married? Do you want to keep dating? Do you want to date non-exclusively? What's going on here? Do you want to be friends? What's going on, and what do you want out of it as well? You got to think about that as well, you know.
This is, I don't know how you're gonna answer. What if your ex wants to get back into your life?
No. Your ex is an ex for a very good reason. Sometimes a really good reason. What we do as humans, unfortunately, is we look at the past a little better. our brain kind of, as we move to the future, our brain kind of forgets about the bad things of the past or tries to kind of block them out a little bit. And we don't think of the good, happy memories. And not every relationship has a few good memories. So if you look at that way, you think about your ex, you think about your ex favorably and think, okay, well, I'll let this person back. But they're your ex for a very good reason. And I also think about the bad times as well. I don't remember all the bad times, but I think about the bad times. And the other thing is, there are how many billion people on the planet right now? Like 8 billion people on the planet, okay? Half of them are probably roughly the opposite sex. Maybe 1% of those are actually dateable. So that's still millions and millions and millions and millions of people out there. So what's the point of going back to an ex when there's millions of other people you could date and find someone better? So it's going back to an ex is stupid. No way. It doesn't make any sense.
If you're married, there should be no question in regards to that, because once you're married, you're remarried.
Yeah.
I mean, who goes back to their ex once they're married?
I've heard that happening. Is people will get married and then they'll get divorced and they'll go back to their ex and stuff. But that's really stupid. You're just giving money to lawyers at that point. Basically, if you're bouncing back and forth between marriages like that, it means two things. It means you got married too soon, and it means you never really got over your ex. And you probably should get over your ex, because, like I said, there's billions of people on the planet, and if your marriage is failing, pick someone else. Just don't. If you divorce, pick someone else. Don't go back to your ex. It makes no sense.
I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe because I'm old-fashioned, it's always like marriage is in the Western life where we are. The D word, the divorce, is like a normal thing. It's part of a very, it's a norm, okay? Now in today's generation, it's a very norm, and I'm very against it, because once you get married, regardless of what you both are you know what we've been through. I can't even breathe sometimes what we go through. But yes, there are points of our life where we go, gosh, let's just get a divorce, let's just do this. But at the end of the day, here we are in front of the camera. We're still here. Like, that's why the song, you're still the one. It's because my papa always says that once you get married, it's a done deal. It's not like you just tried on something in the fitting room and you didn't like it and you'll return it. It's not like that. Marriage is, especially if you've already done it in a church, in front of God, in front of family and friends. I don't understand how people can just get married and then get a divorce just like that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't.
The only exceptions that I would say is if your life is in danger and you've thought about this and you thought, SHIT, there's two ways out of this marriage, a divorce or a body bag. I know that if I get a divorce, I have a chance of starting again. It doesn't matter what age you are, if you're 40, 50, 60, 70, you still have a chance of starting again, So it becomes a choice of, hey, I'm going to end up dead in this marriage because this psycho is going to kill me. Then that's when divorce is an option. At least separation is an option. Get as far away from that person as you can if you don't want to divorce the person. And the only good thing about divorce is it gives you a second chance. because it gives you a second. I feel like I'm having a second life right now, basically, because I first one didn't work out. It's like I have a second life. I didn't have to die to have the second life. That's the good thing about divorce. But some people do jump into it too easy. I thought about it for a long time before I divorced. But some people jump about too easy and say, "Oh, if it doesn't work out, we're just going to get a divorce." No, there's no just going to get a divorce. Especially if you have kids, it's going to be a long, drawn-out process with property involved and everything else involved. And your ex is always going to be there. Especially if you have kids together, your ex is still going to be there for a while until your kids age out and make their own decisions on life. So you're still going to be sharing kids back and forth and all kinds of stuff like that. So your ex is not going to be out of your life even though the papers are signed. And you have to consider that. But then if your life is in danger, don't wait another minute. Get out now and just deal with everything else later.
I don't know if you remember, but Father Chris, when we were preparing for our church wedding, you know how they said that even if you are married as a Catholic, if you're married in church, you seal the deal, the whole enchilada. Father Chris actually told us that even if you get divorced, for Catholics that got married in church, there is no such thing as divorce in Catholic. So you'll get divorced, but you cannot get remarried in a Catholic church because there's no such thing as divorce with them. If you're a priest, if you're a Catholic priest and you know better, and if I'm saying it wrong or if I didn't understand it correctly, please comment and educate us, enlighten us. But this is how I interpreted it. He told us that's why, because he got married in Church of England, right, sweetheart?
Well, yeah, but I wasn't. Yeah,
but you got married in Church of England, but he was not baptized. So we explained that he got married in Church of England, they're divorced, and what do we need to do? But he was also in the process of getting converted. He was going through classes for catechism, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so he was converting to Catholic. So Father Chris says, well, that makes it easy. Because if you were not baptized, your marriage is actually void. Right? That's what he says. So none of that actually happened. It's because because they were asking for proof of baptism and all of that, and because he was not baptized, he was not Catholic, so it was easy. He's not married. There's no record in church because of that. Right?
Yep.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
So, but now you're married to church. Now you have a record.
No way out of it now.
No way.
No, yeah.
Well, we're not married in the Philippines, and I have not reported it in the Philippines. So technically, I'm still single.
Yeah, we all know about Filipino divorce.
Hey!
Okay.
No, there's no such thing as Filipino divorce. They are in the process of agreeing to have Philippine divorce. But of course, that is still worldwide, not gonna be with Romans.
Oh, I know about the
Catholic.
Filipino divorce, but the other thing is one party ends up underground.
Stop.
Okay.
That's the last of our what if questions.
So click down there, like, share, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you again soon.